Hello and welcome into my first hockey video in a while. Hasn't been much hockey to talk about lately, but we have a decent amount to talk about today pertaining to the NHL and the Boston Bruins. Now, the NHL has released their plan to restart play, and I want to go over a few things with you, a few of my concerns with it, and just talk about the proceedings and how everything's going to happen. So the first thing to note is July 13th is the start of training camp. That is tomorrow. Today is July 12th. That's all fine and dandy. The clubs travel to the hub cities. The hub cities are Toronto for the Eastern Conference, Edmonton for the Western Conference. All of the Eastern Conference games will take place in Toronto. Stanley Cup Final, though, will take place in Edmonton. Exhibition games and warm-up games on the 28th to the 30th. August 1st is the first day of the Stanley Cup qualifiers, which is the 5 through 12 seeded games for both conferences, as well as a round robin will also take place between them. Between those days of August 1st and August 9th, all 8 series that can last 5 games will happen between the 1st and the 9th, which means you will have a lot of hockey to watch, hopefully from August 1st to August 9th. First round begins August 11th. Stanley Cup Finals begins September 22nd, which is much later than we are used to having playoff hockey, and hopefully this is the only time it will ever go this late. But the one concern I have here is there's not enough distance between the travel day, July 26th, and the start of exhibition games and the start of qualifiers, frankly. Now, if you have a team show up with coronavirus tests, which can happen as proven by the MLS, you will have an issue. So I know I'm not a soccer channel, but I do watch soccer, and you have to just be aware of these things. Teams can travel from where they are to a hub city and show up positive. Dallas tested 2 days before they went to Orlando, the hub for the MLS. No positive tests. Show up in Orlando. They're now up to 10 players testing positive. This is very much a possibility for the NHL and could become a reality. Now, I'm not trying to scare people off and be a Debbie Downer, but things like this can happen. 2 teams in the MLS tournament have been withdrawn from the play, and I'm wondering how the NHL would do that with such a set structure. If Toronto, let's say, that would be weird because they're in Toronto, they won't travel. If a Columbus, let's say, shows up to Toronto and has coronavirus through a lot of their players, does Toronto get a bye? Who does Toronto play? What does Toronto do? Does Columbus, do they wait? I don't know, personally, because as you saw in that schedule, all the dates are not certain 100%. They're subject to change. As you saw today, if you pay attention to MLS, they were announcing lineups for the game today, and then they postponed the DC Toronto game that was supposed to happen at, I want to say, 8:30 or 9 a.m. this morning. Players were ready to play. Players were tweeting about the game coming up. They canceled the game 5 minutes before it was supposed to start, which is terrible management, and that's the MLS for you sometimes. But also, you can say, well, the hub city is in Orlando, which is one of the worst spots in the country to have a hub city. But at the same time, you have a team like Dallas travel from Dallas, arrive in Orlando with it, and so far their bubble has been pretty good, minus this one thing with DC and Toronto. It has been pretty good, but all it takes is one case in a bubble for it to spread. And that has me pretty concerned as a hockey fan and a soccer fan that these tournaments might start and not be able to finish. Now, I just think another thing that you have to note is there will be opt-outs. Players will not show up to this, some of them. In MLS, for example, Carlos Vela didn't show up. In hockey, Travis Hamonic already opted out. Not the biggest of names, but a name. Max Domi is taking 7 to 10 days to think about opting out because he's type 1 diabetic and is more prone to contracting the disease and having it be much more terrible for him just because of his diabetes. And that really stings for him that he has to take that extra thought to think, can I play hockey, which is upsetting, but it might be best for Max to not play. I'm no health expert, but he has to take that into his own consideration. Now, there will be far more players who will not play in this, who you would think would help a team in this tournament a lot, I would think. I think the names are just starting, and they will come out more so in the future. But that is also an opportunity for AHL players who might not get the opportunity. Now let's go over the schedule and stuff and move on from the doom and gloom. So the first day you have 5 games. All of these are the qualifiers. All 8 qualifier games, or the game 1s of the series of the qualifiers, will happen in the first 2 days. As you can see here, the times, they really did a great job spacing these out, much better than the MLS, which has games in 1 game in the morning and then 2 at night. Really awkward gap, but they will be going straight from noon to 10:30 with games starting basically every 2 hours. You can read that right there. The round robin games start on the 2nd. One thing that's interesting is these 5-game series. Each series has a back-to-back in it, which I don't think is great, but I think they can deal with it considering that they've had all this time off before it. Whether it plays a fair advantage, I do not know. That is to be seen. This is a very new concept of playoffs, but it should be interesting to see how these series play out, and I'm looking forward to watching this hockey. The 8 series that have the play-in is New York Rangers, Carolina, Florida Panthers versus the New York Islanders, Montreal Canadiens versus the Pittsburgh Penguins, Columbus Blue Jackets versus the Toronto Maple Leafs in the East, which all of those series should be good. In the West, you got Chicago, Edmonton, Winnipeg, I can't even read my own writing. Calgary, my bad. Arizona, Nashville Predators, and the Wild versus the Vancouver Canucks. Now, this should be a pretty good schedule. I wish they didn't have the back-to-backs for the 5-game series. I know they're trying to get this all done before they want to start the new season, which is another massive task in itself in these times. But this should be fun to watch when it comes around. Because even though I brought in the doom and gloom, games will be played. This is a type of thing that would have to go down in flames during, not before. It would probably have to go down in flames during. But it's going to be a fun time those first 10 days. And it should be interesting to see how it goes. Now, to move on to the Bruins, for an example, if you're not a Bruins fan, this is primarily a Bruins channel for the most part, though. Everyone's here except for one person, and that person's Steven Camper. He decided, let me just go to the next slide. He decided he was not for the health of his family. Respectable, can't fault him there. And, Bruins fans in the comments seem pretty supportive. I'm wondering if it was like a Marchand or a Bergeron, if they would be as supportive, because that's a much bigger loss. That's neither here nor there, though. So everyone's here, though. But one thing that's interesting is you have 4 goalies showing up, which is a good amount. I think maybe a 5th would have been necessary. And then on defense, you have 10, which if you watch playoff hockey and you think about the injuries and now you have the coronavirus, I think more than 10 probably would have been maybe like 12. Maybe like 12. I'm not really sure, but I'm just thinking if you pick up 2 injuries, which the Bruins always do in the back end, then you only have 2. Let's say someone gets the coronavirus and you're down to 1. You're kind of stretching it thin, and I could see some issues coming up with the teams that only bring 10 defensemen. As for the forwards, I'm counting here 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It looks like 19 forwards, which I think is good enough. You got 7 extras. You probably shouldn't pick up too many injuries on the forwards. Goaltenders is interesting to see Max Legacy and Dan Vladar. I doubt either of them get time in this tournament, unless maybe the first 3 games, because one thing I think that is kind of interesting is the round robin teams for the teams that are in it. The round robin teams in the East are Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, and Tampa. In the West, they're the Avalanche, the St. Louis Blues, the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Dallas Stars. And in my opinion, these games don't matter. And that might be a controversial take, but what does seeding really matter if there's no home ice advantage? Now, if there was home ice and we were playing these games at TD Garden, or even without fans at TD Garden, at least your players get to be at their own houses. But you're in a hub. You're playing on neutral ice versus every team except maybe Toronto, but I'm pretty sure Toronto is also going to be in a hotel in a bubble. So there's really no advantage to being 1, 2, 3, or 4 unless you're really oh, I want this matchup, which, I mean, you don't even know what matchups you're going to get because you don't know what the round robin, not the round robin, the series, the 5 through 12 in each conference, you don't know who you're going to get. It's kind of a crapshoot in my opinion. So if I'm the Bruins, I do not start all my good players. I do not care about that 1 through 4 seed. I'm making sure my players get up to speed, healthy, and are ready for the start of the actual playoff series, whoever they may face. Now, you may disagree with me and say, man, the seeding matters because who knows, you may run into a team like Columbus. Well, a team like Columbus murdered Tampa Bay last year in the first round, so I'm not really sure I want to risk an injury to face a team like Columbus. I mean, every team in the NHL, the talent gap between the best team in the NHL and the worst team in the NHL is not as much as other sports, so I really don't think it's a big deal. I think it's a really big deal to be up to speed, healthy, and ready to go for the first round. That's about all I have to go over with you guys in this video. Hopefully this thing goes off without a bump in the road or anything. Hopefully all teams are able to play, unlike the MLS. It's in Canada, way better than the U.S. at handling COVID. So let's hope that is a big factor in this, and let's hope the NHL pulls through and pulls off some great playoff hockey for us. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed my video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm not a consistent poster, but once hockey starts up, I will be a very consistent poster about the Bruins and other things going on in the NHL. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.